the latest news break that is coming in. I just want our viewers to go through that. Inside details have now emerged on what really happened right before the crash. Now, Ajit Pawar's flight took off at about 8:10 a.m. from Mumbai. The flight was on way to Baramati, where he was to address a political rally. Reports suggest the flight disappeared from the radar at 8:45 a.m. So once again, to take our viewers through the sequence of events, 8:10 a.m. is when the flight had taken off from Mumbai, was bound to Baramati. 8:45 a.m. that flight disappears from the radar. The pilots cite poor visibility before landing. So one of the reasons that now we have been given to understand was poor visibility. That was the reason that was cited by the pilot before landing. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, as well as what we've been given to understand, 6 others have been killed on board that ill-fated crash. But there are larger questions, viewers, that will be raised and should be raised, because this particular chartered aircraft, a Learjet, had a very dodgy flying history, to be precise. 2023, it was involved in an incident which once again raised question marks on the safety standard of this particular jet. Why was it still operational? Why was it given safety clearances? Are lots of questions that need to be answered. And the sad fallout of all of that is for everyone to see. Heartbreaking, 7 lives lost, including the Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar on board that ill-fated flight. I want to bring in my colleague Amit, who's joining us for a larger understanding. Amit, can you take us through on the questions now that are being raised on this particular Learjet and the dodgy flying history in 2023? It was involved in an incident after which there should have been many checks and balances before this Learjet was allowed to fly again.
Preeti, we have more details coming in at this point in time. The name of the pilots who were flying that craft have been confirmed to us. India Today has exclusive details of the pilots who were flying the craft. So it is Sumit Kapoor as well as Sambhavi Pathak. Now, VSR Aviation's VK Singh told me very specifically in exclusive information as to how these pilots were flying the craft. The VSR Aviation maintains that they had a fair amount of experience of flying the craft. And VSR Aviation also told India Today that possibly there was poor visibility, because of which this crash might have happened. But they are saying that let the DGCA probe the matter and come up with a statement, obviously, because they are also in question right now. The VSR Aviation has to answer a lot of questions. However, the VSR Aviation's VK Singh is maintaining that the craft was safe, and that is why it was operational. But we need to tell our viewers at this point in time that not only the same aircraft model, but also the same company. So same company, same aircraft model had faced incident back in 2023. Obviously, there would be a lot of questions as to why, whether there were detailed investigation and whether this aviation company was reprimanded or not. It was a
But
charter
Amit,
craft,
when an aircraft is cleared to fly VVIPs, whether it's the Chief Minister or the Deputy Chief Minister, there are very strict parameters. Are you saying that neither the Maharashtra government nor the aviation authorities nor the pilots or the company followed these very strict guidelines on aviation safety when it came to this particular aircraft? Because anyways with VVIPs, there are stricter parameters.
Well, Gaurav, we need to also understand this. When you have charter crafts flying in, flying out from one airport to the other airport, more so for electoral rallies and political purposes, sometimes a lot of it is also self-assessment by the company as well. So the self-declarations that are submitted by the companies which own the craft goes to the DGCA, and that is why you would also go through as to how several action or the crackdown had happened in Uttarakhand as well. If you would remember the chopper crashes that happened as part of chopper crash that happened in Uttarakhand, and incidents that were reported in Uttarakhand, it had triggered cracking the whip by the DGCA, and after which they had found that there were a lot of troubles in the self-declarations that were made by the companies. So we'll have to wait at this point in time as to whether the norms were followed properly or not. but there's no denial that there was an incident with the same company, same aircraft model back in 2023.
Okay.
And whether there are any lapses or not, that needs to be, we'll have to wait for the DGCA to come up with a statement. But we can certainly tell our viewers at this point in time two very important names, Sumit Kapoor and Sambhavi Pathak. These were the ones who were flying that craft. They were on board. Mr. Pawar and two of his security guard staff were also on board, and the DGC has confirmed to us there are no survivors on this craft, which means.
So, Amit, you're saying there were five
yes.
people on board, including two pilots,
Yes.
the OSD and the PSO of the Deputy Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister himself. So, five people on board that ill-fated craft. That's what you're saying? Are you confirming that figure for us?
Yes, Preeti, there were five people on board. So the ministry sources have very clearly also informed, given us these details on the people who were on board. I have been told by the DGCA that there were Mr. Pawar was on board. There were three passengers in total. Two of the crew, which is the two pilots. So Sumit Kapoor and Sambhavi Pathak, both of them flying. They couldn't survive this crash, and Mr. Pawar couldn't survive the crash. The other two who were on board were the staffers of Mr. Pawar, including the PSO. So there are no survivors. Five people were on board, and VSR Aviation is saying they are suspecting that this accident is possibly because of the poor visibility. But they are also saying that we are waiting for the DGCA to carry on the probe and come up with the details of the fact. They are also waiting for the information to come up from the ATC.
So
that's
stay with
what
us,
the
Sumit.
owner of,
Let's also bring into this conversation Captain Sanjay Karve, who joins us on this broadcast as an aviation expert. Captain Karve, welcome. Your reading, based on just very initial information that's coming in as the aircraft came into land, it was in the final 45 seconds just before touchdown that it appears to have veered right. Autopilot disengaged is preliminary information, and instead of runway 27, it crash landed on the apron and exploded.
It's a very sad way to begin a day with a news like this where there are fatalities, and my condolences to the families of all the victims, that is the crew and the Deputy CM and his staff. If you look at the pictures, prima facie, you can rule out certain things. One, the aircraft was obviously cleared by the engineers at Mumbai. They knew that the Deputy Chief Minister was flying. There are specific separate circulars issued by Ministry of Home Affairs and the DGCA when flying VIPs during election time.